Hi, this is Roger. Thanks for dropping by. Another sad day for the world. Yeah, we'll do sympathies, we'll do shock, we'll do horror, we'll do all that, and then we'll have meetings and we'll try and sort out what we're going to do about it. The acts cannot be stopped, but what can be stopped is the belief that drives them. And if that doesn't change, nothing's going to change. And it never will. It's not the act that's the problem. It's the belief that it can do some good. And it's the beliefs that cause the acts. So therein is the solution. Anyway, back to orchids. I've got friends in that city. That's just opening. Pity it's not my plant. It's actually my daughter's. And yeah, she's off to a big concert in London later in this year. That's a worry, isn't it? Is there anywhere safe? Probably not. I know somewhere safe. I'll probably be going there. It's in the middle of nowhere where there's no people. It's called the forest and the open spaces. That's where I'm safe. Come and get me there if you want. Wish you luck with that. That's opening up nicely now. Love that little plant. And I'll get that down in a minute, but because it's against the light and it doesn't show its true colours. But I've got to get on with this watering today, so I might not be filming much more than I've just filmed now, because I do want to go out today. Need for a bit of solitude, shall we say. But yeah, I'll see what I can find as I go round. But because of the processing with the videos, which we all know about, those of us that make the videos, they take time and things like that. And that's the sort of thing I can leave till later in the day, when I've done what I want to do during the day. So it might not get posted till later this evening, but I'll see what I can do. I may spot some bits and bobs as I go round, but yeah, that's nice that that's opening now, because I know now next time my daughter comes down, that spike at least will be open, and that one's hot on its heels. So it's just a no ID Dendrobium phalaenopsis type, but you know, as a plant, cats tried to eat it. That's hence the leafless canes and the sawn off bits on the leaves. Well, they didn't succeed, and we do have a nice strong new growth coming up, and hopefully that'll push out some new roots, because the roots on it weren't too good. But we got some we got some spikes, so little bonus there. And I'll see what else I find as I go round. Well, I've just watered this one, and now I wish I hadn't. This has just pushed its way to the top of the repotting queue. It's on the list because it's in an unknown media which contains a lot of sponge, which I don't like. Stays wet too long. Now, these like to stay moist, but not soggy. But that lovely new growth is pushing on, but I've now got 3 more following it. So, yeah, those 3 new growths weren't there last time I watered it, whatever that was, 6 days ago. We've had quite a bit of dull weather, but yesterday was hot, and we're in for some hot weather. Now, sunny weather I'm okay with. You can be as sunny as you like, I love it. But when it gets hot as well, my inlet fan is sucking in air that's possibly even hotter than the air on the inside. So that's not going to be so good. So yeah, we got a few days of continental heat wending its way up from the likes of Spain and Portugal and southern France. So we'll look forward to the glorious weather, but the excess heat in here will not be appreciated. But it'll only be a couple of days. This is the UK. It's not going to go on for long. It'll be raining again soon. And the garden needs that again now. But anyway, good new growths. So one pushing on nicely, just opening its leaves, and 3 new ones to follow. Now's a good time to get it out of whatever stuff it's in. So that's up to the top of the list. Probably won't be today, but soon. So I'm going to put this plant to one side. If I put it back where I just got it from, I've got to move a dozen plants to get at it again. So he's going to get a new home until he's been repotted, which just makes sense to me. It saves moving loads of plants when I can just put him on the edge somewhere just for a day or so till I get round to it. There's an element of risk with this one. This relatively recently acquired Latoria has no new growth showing, but maybe my nose is clearer today, but I've just watered that one and we have mushroom smell. So as soon as I smell that, I know media is breaking down, time to come out of the pot. I've left plants in that situation far too long and I've just lost too many. So new growths, new roots or not, decomposing media, which can turn acidic and burn all your roots off that you've got, takes priority over all of the other things. So it's the in for a penny, in for a pound. You know, if I'm doing that Latoria with the new growths that I've just showed, well, we just as well put this one to one side and do it at the same time. That'll be 2 of them done. I think that only leaves 1, I'm not sure, and I'll find that in a minute. Having just got this one out to look at it, the Miltonia Sunset, there's quite a surprise. Pleasing surprise, because although it's just open, so a nice fresh bloom there, another one just about to, it was just the number of buds. I thought there were 4. Well, there's 2 there, 3, 4, 5, 6, there's potentially 7 on that spike. Now obviously they're going to be quite far apart, you know, in as much as that's open, that one's only just opened, so you can imagine that's what the size of the bud was just before it opened. So this one's quite a bit behind, and these are quite a long way behind. Given that they last a long time, that's going to be in bloom for a hell of a long time. That's a good spike. I've never had one as good as that, and quite honestly, if all of those buds open, that's a better spike than when I bought it, which I thought at the time was probably the best one I'd ever get. Yeah, that's a lot of buds. I'm looking forward to those opening in succession. That'll be good. Right, now I've got this Nobly Wedding Bells down. Virtually every bud is open. They've opened very quickly despite looking like it was going to give me quite a long succession of blooms. So that may now not be true. I think the first one's opened about a week ago. And in that time, I mean, you can just see there's a few just opening, but not actually open yet. But yeah, only a few left now that haven't fully opened. I mean, I love the colours on this. I mean, the density of that purple red inside the golden lip is quite spectacular. I mean, they're not large blooms for Noblies, but you often find with Nobly hybrids, those that don't have large blooms make up for it in numbers. If you look at I mean, these are typical Nobly spikes. They come out from between the leaves, on the nodes between 2 leaves. But you're looking at an average of 4 blooms per spike, whereas some Noblies very rarely produce more than 2, and sometimes only 1. So whereas that could be 2 large flowers, I've got 4 smaller ones. And each spray, I mean, the top one there's only got 3, but that one's got 4. This one's got 4. Yeah, most of them are either 3 or 4 blooms per spike. But one trait I have noticed with a lot of Dendrobiums, the buds that mature and open fast don't tend to last long. But I have no records of this one. The blooms that were on it when I got it were fading at that point, and they only lasted a couple of days and dropped off, so I have no record of how long these blooms last. But I will have now, and I'll look forward to it doing it again. It's got plenty of new growths coming on it down the bottom here. Got quite a few. Plus there's a cane or 2 that hasn't actually bloomed yet, like this one. Yeah, there's been no blooms on that one yet, so those are future blooms on that cane. Yeah, so I'm pleased with it. You know, I'm a sucker for yellows and oranges and reds and things, so I like this one. And quite honestly, I like the fact that this one has paler leaves. It just does. They're not dark leaves. It's not getting high light at the moment. The Nobelies don't need high light during their growing season. They need that in their resting season. So yeah, I'm pleased with this one. It's doing nicely. And those are very nice blooms. Yeah, nice one. This Nobly No ID hybrid's deciding to have a late flush because this bloomed early this year. Whether that was a weather thing or just settling down into a pattern. But it bloomed quite early, so its blooms were over before spring really got here. But it's having another little go. You know, okay, it's only a few blooms, but another little splash of colour. It's probably my least favourite of my Nobly hybrids. You know, this one, I've had this one a while now, and I think it was one of the first ones I got, and you know, I was impressed by what looked like a strong, healthy plant, which is good. But no, not my favourite Nobly bloom. It's a bit, you know, the white is a nice pure white, and then you've got this creamy sort of effect before the deep purple in the lip, and it's slightly tessellated as well. If you look at the white, you know, it's got a patterning in it that almost leads you to believe that the petals are nearly see-through. They're not, it's just an impression. But yeah, there's another little bit of colour, not a lot. And just looking at this Nobly a little bit closer, I think we need to do a bit of forward planning about 9 months on this one. This is all strapped up in various ways. You may have seen the video where I tidied this ready to go to a show, and the objective of the tidying was to get the older leafless canes that didn't have blooms on into the centre, so that the canes with the blooms on surrounded that tatty bit in the middle and all the blooms pointed outwards, and it worked. I mean, that got a second in a show and I was well pleased on the number of canes it had. And I've just had a look round, and this currently has 10 new canes. That's next year's blooms. Now some of them are heading up to maturity, like here, yeah? So I mean, if we start there, we've got that one, 2, 3, there's another one virtually mature in there, 4, 5, and coming round here, we've got this big one here, 6, 7, 8, 9, and that one there. There's 10 or 11 new canes on there, and that doesn't mean to say it's finished producing new canes yet. As you can see, some of these are quite new. It's still capable of pushing out some more, and they'll all get to various heights and stages of maturity come the blooming time in very early spring next year. So I think I need to start thinking about tidying this plant up now, because these old bloomed canes are in the way, and they'll stop the new growths being able to be trained nice and upright. They'll make the plant push out sideways like this one is, yeah? And if all these canes push out sideways, I end up with a bush, and all the blooms will weigh those canes down. So I need to get this plant in a position where they can be kept upright and trained upright, so that next year I'll still have some older leaved canes. Don't get me wrong, I'm not hacking them all off. But some of the ones that have completely served their purpose and bloomed in the nodes up the full length of the cane, they're not going to bloom again, and they have no leaves. And with the strength of all these new growths and the canes that have still got leaves, I don't need them anymore. So I think I might tidy that plant relatively soon and get rid of the old canes to make room for the new ones to grow nice and upright. Because I've got a feeling, although that was a bit of a showstopper this spring, it's going to be better next year. It's got more new canes, and some of them are well on their way to maturity already. Now that might mean I'll get some canes up here. You can see the height of some of the canes in the past. You know, these were old canes, so these were produced by somebody else before I got it. They're that old, which is why they're coming off. But the potential for the height of the canes is around here, and they need room to be able to do that and not all hang out sideways. See, this one's going to start hanging out sideways if I don't keep it tied in. So yeah, a little bit of work to do on that one. Long-term plan for that one, because I know what it's going to look like next spring, and I know that when it blooms it's about right for at least 1 if not 2 shows. So if I work on it now, I'll have far less to do in the spring, and hopefully all the blooms will point outwards. I'll have to keep, as the buds form, you literally, if you've only got one light source and you want all your blooms to face in that direction, then don't move your plant. You know, when you move it to water it, put it back exactly where it was, and all the blooms will come out facing the light source to the best of their ability. But if you want a plant with blooms all round, then obviously you need to turn your plant. If you've only got one light source, I mean, I'm lucky, I've got 4 light sources basically, 3 sides and a roof. So the blooms are not so much of a problem for me. They do tend to come out all round. So yeah, a little bit of work to do on that one, I think. Okay, I've just finished for the day now. I thought this had finished blooming. I mean, I'm still a trifle worried about the plant, but a lot less worried than I was, shall we say, because it certainly doesn't seem to be getting any worse. Maxillaria arachnitiflora. That's easy for you to say. But yeah, I like the blooms, I like the shape, I like the colour, I like the depth of colour in the throat. And maybe it's just going to be one of those that has an odd bud every now and again, and an odd bloom. I mean, at its high point, it actually had 8 blooms open at once. Started off with just a couple, and then just built up to sort of a reasonable, almost a mass display, I would say. And then, you know, gradually faded down to less and less buds open at the same time, and this is like an afterthought, because I thought it had finished. But yeah, so close this one off now. Thanks for dropping by, thanks for watching and all that. And I'm probably actually going to repot those Latorias, that pair of Latorias. So if I do, I'll film that, but I'll keep that one short. We've seen enough repotting videos, or I have anyway. See you next time. Thanks for dropping by.